Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a common but sometimes tricky diagnostic trouble code. P0122, which stands for Throttle Position Sensor or TPS circuit low input. If your boat's engine has been hesitating, showing poor acceleration, or just not running right, this code might be the culprit. So, grab your tools, and let's get to the bottom of it. First off, what exactly is the P0122 code telling us? It means the engine control module, or ECM, is seeing a voltage from the throttle position sensor that is lower than it should be. The TPS is a crucial sensor. It tells the ECM exactly how much you're opening the throttle. Think of it like the volume knob on a stereo, but for your engine's air and fuel. When you press the throttle, the TPS sends a changing voltage signal to the ECM, which then adjusts fuel delivery and ignition timing for optimal performance. The normal voltage range for ATPs is typically from about half a volt at idle to around 4.5 volts at wide open throttle. The P0122 code gets triggered when the ECM sees a voltage that's below that minimum expected threshold, usually something under 0.1 to 0.2 volts. So, what causes this low voltage condition, especially in a marine environment? Well, the number one suspect is moisture. Marine engines live in a wet, humid world. Water, and especially salt water, is the enemy of electrical components. Moisture can get inside the TPS connector, or even the sensor itself, causing corrosion on the terminals and creating a short circuit or high resistance. This interference disrupts the signal, leading to that low voltage reading. Another common cause is simply a faulty sensor. Over time, the internal components of the TPS can wear out. The resistive strip inside can develop dead spots, or the internal wiper arm can lose contact. This wear and tear will definitely cause erratic or low voltage signals. You also need to check the wiring. A frayed wire, a loose connection, or a corroded pin in the connector harness can all interrupt the signal. The TPS has 3 wires: a 5-volt reference wire from the ECM, a ground wire, and the signal wire that sends the voltage back to the ECM. A problem with any of these 3 can trigger the P0122 code. And finally, although it's less common, a faulty ECM could be the source of the problem, but you should always rule out the sensor and wiring first. Okay, let's talk about the symptoms. How will your boat act if it has a P0122 code? The most common complaint is hesitation or stumbling when you try to accelerate. You'll push the throttle, and the engine might bog down before it finally picks up speed. You might also notice a rough idle, poor overall engine performance, and a general lack of power. In some cases, the engine might even go into a limp mode to protect itself, drastically reducing power and RPMs. Your check engine light will, of course, be illuminated. So, how do we diagnose this? First, a visual inspection is key. The TPS is located right on the side of the throttle body, where the throttle cable or linkage attaches. Look closely at the sensor and its connector. Do you see any signs of water intrusion, green or white corrosion, or any physical damage to the sensor or the wiring harness? Wiggle the connector to make sure it's seated firmly. If everything looks okay visually, it's time to break out the multimeter. You're going to test the voltage. You can do this by back-probing the connector while it's still plugged into the sensor. Set your multimeter to DC volts. First, with the key on, but the engine off. Check the reference voltage. You should see a steady 5 volts between the reference wire and the ground wire. If you don't have 5 volts, you have a problem with the ECM, or the wiring leading from it. Next, you'll check the signal wire. At closed throttle, you should see that low reference voltage, typically around half a volt. Now, slowly open the throttle by hand all the way to wide open. As you'll do these, you should see the voltage on the signal wire sweep smoothly and consistently upward, all the way to about 4.5 volts. If you see the voltage drop out, jump around erratically, or not change at all, you've found your problem. A bad TPS if the voltage sweep is good. The issue might be intermittent or related to the wiring harness itself. You can try wiggling the wires while watching the multimeter to see if you can make the signal drop out. Once you've confirmed a bad TPS, the fix is usually straightforward. Replacement. They are typically held on by just a couple of screws. Unplug the old one, unscrew it, and install the new one. Make sure the new sensor is properly aligned with the throttle shaft. Some TPS sensors are adjustable. If yours is, you'll need to slightly rotate it to set the correct base idle voltage before tightening the screws. Always refer to your service manual for the specific procedure and voltage specs for your engine. After replacement, clear the codes with a scan tool and take the boat for a test run to make sure the problem is solved. And that's a wrap on diagnosing and fixing the P0122 code. It might seem intimidating, but with a logical approach and a few basic tools, it's a very manageable repair. Thanks for watching, everyone. If this video helped you out, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more marine tech tips, and we'll see you on the next one.